About 2 weeks ago, Digimon Beatbreak just finished its most recent arc, the Gift arc. I just wanted to go over my thoughts and ideas about what happened in these episodes. Not obviously all of them, because there's like what? A lot. And I'm not going to go through every single one. I'm just going to cover some of the standout episodes and standout scenes that I really wanted to talk about. So before this arc even began, we had 3 kind of filler episodes just to close the gap between the end of the Tactics arc and the beginning of this arc. There's nothing really to talk about with these 3 episodes. In Half Baked Hero, it kind of just explains how they got back home. They encountered some pirates that were threatening to kill people and kidnap children. You know, average Beat Break stuff. The next episode is a little different. Again, we thought these were going to be, oh, nice little filler episodes. Oh, nothing really to worry about, right? We're immediately getting back into murder. So we get that tactics guy that we helped earlier in the season who had the Commandramon. He came back, so we know he's okay. We kind of figured out what he was doing. He was in the arena, he got beat by Raito, and he got put away because he got captured with he got put away with his partner, his new partner, Elizamon, the same one from Liberator, which was really cool to see in the episode. Turns out the guy killed her master, and not like cold-hearted, like straight up killed her previous master. So, you know, you can't really get a remedy. And this guy, he's just constantly trying to kill himself. Because when he figured it out because she made this special pink curry. And he's like, this is familiar. And he remembers the day that he killed her master. And he goes, oh, I'm the guy who did that. Because he promised when they first met that he'd get revenge with her and he'd kill her master. He'd kill the guy who killed her master, right? Obviously, there's a bit of a conundrum with that. But this guy, he's very self-sacrificing and very, very willing to just kill himself. So he instead decided to go off with Elizamon for a little bit because they had like a little cooking challenge, right? And proceeded to antagonize her so that she'd kill him. Obviously, it didn't turn out right. And obviously, everything kind of turned out okay. At the end of the day, after, you know, they convinced him, hey, stop trying to kill yourself. And he goes, okay, fine. They ended up taking them to Pandamon and that little area there, which was really nice. Again, like, I really like Beat Break because they don't forget characters and they let them shine. Speaking of not forgetting characters, Hitomi! Yay! So, fun fact, when this episode was coming out, I was very excited. Because me personally, I really like the relationship between Hitomi and Tomoro. I really like because I think it's really cute, and I think it's okay, and it's nice for Tomoro to have a friend who isn't involved in all this Digimon nonsense. I made a tweet basically saying that, hey, this is kind of like an idea I had about writing like a cute little short story only for myself about Tomoro running into Hitomi and having like a cute little not date, right? And when this episode came out, with the early premise, I tweeted it out. And then I got quote retweeted. Hello, future Ramses here. I tried looking for the quote retweet, but I couldn't. If you look at the image, you can see that it was quote retweeted twice. I looked at the history, I looked at everything. I couldn't find the person who quote retweeted me. And I promise you, this happened. It was so funny. I wish I screenshotted it at the time, but these guys were like crashing out at each other, and I assume that's probably what happened because it's still there, the quote retweets. And you can also see because it has so much views, obviously if somebody are fighting, people are going to see the fight. But I promise you this happened, bro. I'm not crazy, please. You have to believe me. It was so funny! And you like things like this. And I thought,
I'm like, what did he say fuck me for?
I said, what did I do? Turns out I was being used as evidence against somebody else. That's never happened to me before. It was really funny. And funnily enough, it was people, I think they were speaking Portuguese. Portuguese or Spanish, one of those two. Every time I find like Digimon stuff, it's always either Portuguese or Spanish. I don't know why. This episode, first off, Hitomi. I love whenever Hitomi shows up. This episode, like, it was really weird because obviously this is all about affection, right? How the tamers show affection to their Digimon. And like, Hitomi is there for no reason. It's like the episode starts off, again, I'm trying to go through these quickly. The episode starts off with Hitomi thinking about Tomoro ever since he dropped out of school. Then Mummymon's like, oh, you like this boy. And she's like, what are you talking about? And then he puts like a wrap around her arm. And then I think Hitomi was in this episode for like 20, like not even like 2 minutes. After Mummymon puts the wrap around her arm, she immediately beelines for Tomoro. And she's just like, Tomoro, I gotta tell you something. I think Reina's slowly becoming one of my favorite characters in the show. Because she's just such a bro. She sees what's happening and goes, all right, I see this. I see you. And then Makoto's over there. He's like, what do you mean? He's like, no, don't worry about it. And they follow Tomoro as Hitomi tries to like not fake confess, but confess to him, right? Tomoro's very weirded out. And I love this episode specifically because of the faces that they pull. Like the faces are just like super visceral. Like they're just so like weird and creepy, and I love them. They're so great. And this is like the yandere episode because everyone had like these creepy expressions. But then when she's about to say something, her band transfers to Tomoro's, which never made sense to me because every time Tomoro bumps into everybody else later on in the episode, their bands kind of spread out and like duplicate and they don't transfer. So I wonder why Hitomi's transferred. I don't think Mummymon wanted that to happen. I don't know. They never explained it. Mummimon's backstory was also very sad. Every time I talk about this episode, I like bringing this up. As far as the glowing dawn is concerned, Tomoro fumbled Hitomi. Hitomi does not remember this conversation. Tomoro doesn't remember anything after this conversation, and nobody really knows how they got possessed or what. Like they don't really know everything after they got possessed. Kyo, Mokoto, and Reina, as far as they are concerned, Hitomi confessed to Tomoro. Tomoro said something stupid and made Hitomi run away. So they think he at least dropped one ball. So I just think that's really funny, and I feel like I need to point that out to everybody who's watched this episode. And then after this, we get into the gift arc properly. But for this little 3-episode excursion, saying I don't see the point in these episodes is kind of wrong. It's more of these episodes don't really serve any greater purpose, and they're kind of just there so we have more. I don't think more episode counts. I think it's just more time with these characters, because these side like silly little missions are just ways for us to have more time with these characters, right? I feel like the death of filler in a lot of anime kind of takes that away, and because we're able to have these like silly little one-off adventures, we can have conversations about stuff like this. Like, oh, remember when that guy was here? He was here for like an episode. I feel like those little one-off adventures are really fun and help us bond with these characters a little bit more. Specifically the Mummymon stuff and this love episode, I love it. Anytime Hitomi shows up, it's my favorite. Hello, future Ramses again. After going through episode 27 of Digimon Beatbreak to find more clips and screenshots, I realized that after finding out Tomoro fumbled the bag with Hitomi, at least from their perspective, Kyo gives a very interesting reaction, and he seems to almost be reminiscing or lamenting something with the face he makes. And with the current knowledge we have of what's happening currently in the show with the most recent episodes and the next episode that's going to come out this week, there's definitely something there. I'll talk about that when we watch the next episode. All right. But we get into the gift arc proper, and people just start dropping like flies. Like the first thing that happens in the gift arc is somebody gets hit with a truck and dies. So, and obviously Jokermon and all that stuff. A beautiful fight. Beautifully animated fight. We get introduced to Miharu, a weird girl with like, I don't know why her eyes are like that. She has like weird eyes, who Tomoro runs into when visiting his brother. Every time he visits his brother, something weird happens. He's got to stop visiting that guy. But this is where we're introduced to Miharu and the idea of gift through Jestermon and like the Harley Quinn ripoff lady. Their whole plot was just we're going around killing people. That they weren't cold-hearting people. They were killing people. And I think I'm pretty sure the episode ended with like a suicide. The first guy gets murdered. They get delivered these dolls about how they're gonna die. And then Jokermon just hits them with a truck and they all die anyway. What they wanted to was protect this one guy who was a part of the same shipping company. And they were actually shipping off Digimon, I believe. They were shipping off Digimon to the World Union for like stuff, or the world government, whatever. And at the end of the episode, they save him. But on the news, he committed suicide. We're already back with the dark nonsense. After this episode, we get the Dangerous Fandom episode, which is the return of Myotismon. And Reina gets to just be a main character and also just gets absolutely dog walked. Like she gets like beat up because it's Myotismon. But this is the introduction to Rose, the 5-star that we're going to be following kind of through this arc. This episode is saying it's a throwaway is kind of wrong, because I believe this is the episode where Reina's insecurity starts, that we see a little bit later until she gets her ultimate. But I think this moment of like helplessness against Myotismon is what did it, even though she kind of won in a stupid way. I found it really funny because she shot one of her silver pins at Myotismon, and she's like, well, duh, silver beats vampires. And I think it was Makoto who corrected. She goes, well, no, that's werewolves. And she goes, wait, really? And he's like, oh, it's probably belief. Don't worry about it. It's very funny. I love these interactions. Also, early in that episode, they because they're investigating disappearances that they think is involved with Gift, and that's why they find Myotismon. But it turns out it's just Myotismon being Myotismon. and like absorbing women, right? Reina has like a pretty frilly outfit. Tomura was like, yeah, that doesn't work with you. And I'm just like, I like these moments make me feel like, yes, these people feel like family, right? They're egging each other on the specifically Tomura and Reina, right? That's my favorite. It's a nice little sweet episode. The next episode is actually where we get Corruptmon's evolution, Scourge Corruptmon, as well as Lugarmon, specifically Hell Lugarmon, which is really interesting because he's from the Seeker's web novel. And it's our first time seeing him animated, and specifically, this is the Dark Digivolution of the ultimate level of Lugamon. In this episode, we find out a little bit about Makoto's background, how he got out of the Shangri-La egg, and his family, which is really interesting. His dad's an asshole, as we probably expected, but he also has a twin brother. Neat. And like I said before, this is where we get Scourge Corruptmon, which is Corruptmon's ultimate level Digimon. I like it. I know a lot of people were a little disappointed with Scourge Corruptmon's design. We thought we were going to go for a little bit more Kamen Rider-esque thing, or maybe more Batman. They didn't expect it to become like a jet. But in my opinion, that's kind of why I like Digimon, because you can go from a bat to Batman to a jet, and it kind of makes sense. And I also like it what it means thematically, because Scourge Corruptmon isn't a fighter, right? At least he shouldn't be. He's kind of like the back support. You know, he's offering details. He's like paralyzing the opponent. Night Corruptmon is kind of like a weird evolution if you think about it like that, because it goes from a backfield support to a at least like mid-range support. But now with Scourge Corruptmon again, it becomes a long-range support better. It becomes a better long-range support. So it's going around, just flying around and zipping and killing, right? And doing its stuff. And it defeats Hell Lugarmon pretty interestingly. It like rams into it. His brother opens the dome of Shangri-La Egg, and they just blow it up. And Makoto's able to sit inside of Scourge Corruptmon, which is really cool. So I think I really like that aspect of it, and I like that it's more of their bonding and union and being closer together. Granted, Scourge Corruptmon isn't stronger than Monarch Lizardmon, but after this episode, we get another glorious episode. Hitomi's back! And weirdly enough, this has Hitomi way more than the little sample episode we had. And this, again, fills my little romance-loving heart that Hitomi and Tomura just hang out. I love that. That's amazing. And in this episode, we get introduced to, as I lovingly call them, the lesbians, because I can't remember their names. And also, they are jobbers. They can't... I don't think they won a single fight in this entire arc, and I don't think they're gonna win a fight, which is really funny. In this episode, we see Hitomi and Tomura just going around and buying and like shopping. Again, this perfectly fulfills the fantasy that I had and I wanted to write. So I'm living, right? And I love specifically with this how handsy Hitomi is with Tomura. Like, she's not afraid to like punch him and like pull him, right? I just love it. I think it's really funny. And also for me solidifies like the friendship, because this implies that they hang out when the camera isn't rolling, right? But what we're focusing on is this little girl, I can't remember her name, and an Argomon. And this Argomon apparently is a very dangerous Digimon since it has like EMP levels of like energy for some reason. And it goes into the bond between this girl and her Digimon, even though this Digimon's very dangerous because of what it is, right? It's really interesting to me, the theme that we see here, because this also solidifies Tomura's dream, or at least what Tomura wants to do. Because in truth, Tomura was kind of just doing this to get his brother's E-Pulse back. But now, after this episode, he has a grander goal. The goal Kyo had, which is to create a world where Digimon and people can live together in harmony. They don't have to use each other or fight like this anymore. And I really like that. It's also helping this little girl come out from her trauma, because obviously something bad happened. We don't know what it is, but it's probably just bullying. And she said with the help of Argomon, she was able to go outside again. And now that they have to take Argomon away after defeating him, which I'll get into after the end of the recap, she finds the courage to step outside again, if only to, go out and see Argomon again. Fun fact, I saw this comic where I have to find it again. I'm definitely going to put it here, where it's Tomura fighting Chairman Wong. I think it was Chairman Wong. And it was the Ragnarok joke, where it's, you're not strong enough to beat me. I'm not, but she is. And it's just the little girl with Mega Argomon. Because in truth, in the episode, Argomon, I think he only got up to like champion, and he was still able to open portals through like the digital world and like cause all this havoc in reality. Again, I'll get into that at the end of the video when I get to my theory section. That was another thing. And again, this is the introduction to the other two, the lesbians, as I lovingly call them. And they don't do anything. They have ultimate Digimon that at the end of the day don't really feel like it. But, whatever. Also, in this episode, there's a scene that kills me. every single time. And it's Tomoro basically trying to convince everyone else is like, hey, we can just like, we can't make her a cleaner. She's too young, right? She's like 10. We can't make her a cleaner. That's dangerous. And Makoto in the back just goes like, hey, I'm 10. And he looks at him so baffled. He's like, wait, what? that scene just absolutely kills me. After this, we actually get a really interesting episode where we get not reintroduced, but we kind of catch up with the Tactics Team 7, and where they are now. We get Granite and the other one, I can't remember the girl's name. It's like a long Japanese name. I can't remember it. We get updates on them. They're working on like a summer, like a beach area. We get everyone in beach outfits. Again, Tomoro ragging on Reina. Love it. And then Reina being angry at him, But we also get updates on what Kaito's doing. And Kaito is working with the 2 of the 5 stars. He's working with the Fire Star, specifically training underneath him, and also obviously the Water Stars with him as well. And this episode, we really see Tomoro's resilience, because he has to command like a bunch of Digimon on his own while also being just absolutely manhandled, right? Then we also see Kaito being smart. He basically egged Tomoro to go rush in ahead of him so that he can figure out where the sniper in the fight was, which is smart. And then after the sniper revealed himself, he just beat him. And this was also kind of, again, like I was saying, keeping up with Kaito, because Kaito just goes, I'm gonna beat you, Tomoro. I don't think Kaito knows that Tomoro has an ultimate yet. I don't think he saw him go ultimate. He goes, I'm gonna get stronger, and I'm gonna beat you, Tomoro. Remember that. And every single shipper had a field day, because this is everyone's favorite ship, apparently. But after this is where we start kind of gearing up to the end of the arc, where we get Behind the Mask, which was Hitomi. Well, I got her on the brain, which is Miharu and Tomoro kind of bonding is wrong. Wait a minute, I skipped one. I did skip one. I completely, and this is one of the cooler episodes. Cold Rain, which is episode 32. The episode I just talked about was 33, which was the Raito one. This one follows the lady who gives them their missions. I don't remember her name, but this was like the Leomon die episode. Every season has to have a Leomon that dies, and this is technically not a Leomon. It's Snow Leomon, whatever his name is. He dies, but again, this is just like a really dark episode. Again, that follows Gift, and we see a little bit more of what Gift is actually doing. They're basically getting the people who are responsible for the Digimon being brought back into the World Union and icing them. This time, actually icing them, not killing them, but, basically killing. And we also follow, like I said, the receptionist, because the Digimon that's going around and hunting these guys, that's being employed by Gift, is the same Digimon that killed her not partner Digimon a few years ago. It was a very big emotional moment for her. And we keep seeing, Gamamon evolutions? And this is like the 3rd one that we've had that's been evil. So there's a lot of memes going around that this is like the Digimon of pure evil, which is fair, right? I think a lot of people were saying, like, when it comes to like the animation studio, they wanted to do more with Gamamon evolutions, the split evolutions. So they're kind of using this as an example to get a lot of Digimon down. Yeah, this episode was really dark. It was also very samurai-esque, obviously. But like I was saying before, we're seeing a little bit more of how Gift works, and it's like a cult, basically, where everyone who, like, there's normal people who don't even have Digimon who know about Gift because it's like a live streaming thing, and they're looking for these people, and that's kind of how they were tracking down the people who give the missions for the cleaners. I think they're cleaners. So it was a really good episode, and obviously the final climax where she just keeps a blade on her. I mean, she was already kind of bad, but now that she has a knife on her, now that we're back in the correct order, let's actually hop back to the Miharu episode. This is episode 34, just so you know. So episode 34, they're trying to find other people affiliated with Gift, and basically Miharu invites Tomoro over so that they can talk. Also, Miharu is very handsy, like way more handsy than I thought Hitomi was. She's like touching Tomoro's face. It's all types of craziness, right? But this is basically pseudo-revealing, at least to the group, because we found out that Miharu was the main villain, like, I think, like, a few episodes ago, which I'll get into at the end. But this is her revealing that to Tomoro, and it's like, hey, I run Gift, basically. They don't shy away from the fact that, she's a terrorist. She's killing people, or at least she's responsible for it. And Tomoro has to be a good guy, and he's like, well, I want to hear her out. Right, I want to help her, and he ropes Reina into it because he goes off on his own, which he's not supposed to do. It comes into a fight with Reina against Rose, and Reina gets thrashed, obviously, because Rose has an ultimate. And this is technically the start of Reina's like weakness arc, but I think I would go back to the I keep trying to call him Vamdemon, to the Vamdemon arc. I don't know why I think of that one first when I know him better as Myotis. I think because Vamdemon rolls off the tongue better, even though it really doesn't. Back to the Myotismon episode, because that's where we kind of see her not be able to really keep up. right? Because granted, she was separated from her Digimon back then, but this episode is really where that feeling of inferiority comes in, right? Which plays off in the next episode where we get Miracle. I mean, Bearcatmon. And that episode was very nice. Again, another Gamamon evolution who's evil. And again, another basically terroristic plot that involves blowing up a Sapotama facility. The usual. I really like this again because I just really like Reina. She's great. She's a great character. And we kind of see her struggle with this. It feels a little rushed. Granted, it feels like it started the previous episode, but after rewatching some of these episodes, I really do believe it started back then. It's just that we haven't really focused on Reina back then. And the fights, I haven't really touched on the fights, but the fights in these shows are great. Almost every single one of them is amazing. And specifically, I really like this one because Bearcatmon, Bearcatmon is zipping around, she's fighting, and the whole point of Reina's ability is that she's fast. She's not really one to not that she doesn't think, but she's more of the one to act first, which we really see throughout her character, where she's like the first person to just run up to somebody and try to punch them, which also pays off in this episode, which I really love. I love it because Reina is slowly becoming a part of like the monster trio that is Reina, Marcus Damon, and Ray from Redigitized, because those three are just so gung-ho about running up and punching something. And in this episode, Reina kind of does like a fake out. It's really cool. She does a fake out with Bearcatmon because Bearcatmon has like these punching pads, basically like knuckle dusters, but with spikes. Reina comes in with the knuckle duster and slams it to this giant bomb, forcing it to not explode. Don't ask how that works, it just does. But I really like that, and obviously she gets her ultimate, which is really cool. Some people didn't like it. They were like, why is it just so humanoid? But I was like, it makes sense, right? It's okay. It feels a little, for me personally, it feels a little too much like an Olympus 12 member, but it's not the first time we've had like a Digimon of this level look like this, so, Plus, tan skin, thunder thighs. I can't be angry at that, right? Then we go into the finale of the season, the finale of the arc, which is episode 36 and 37. 36 is kind of like a setup almost, and we get the backstory of Miharu. And obviously we get revealed that her Digimon partner is Mephistomon. I think it's Mephistomon. It's Mephistomon, except it's not her partner Digimon. It's actually not even her Digimon. She doesn't have a Digimon, which I think is a really interesting twist. The reason they're fighting is because she kidnapped Chairman Wong. Get that guy. I'm not gonna hold you. Kill him. Get him. We find out that Miharu is very similar to Tomoro. I probably should have talked about this a little earlier, but Miharu is very similar to Tomoro. She lost her older sister in a more permanent way that we'll talk about in a second than Tomoro, and they're kind of like in a similar space. The reason she wants Chairman Wong is because she wants Chairman Wong to explain basically his crimes. Being like, tell him what you did, bitch, right? That's what she was saying. That's what she said, right? She said it, I promise. It was in the English dub, I promise you. I just made myself laugh. We find out that the Mephistomon is actually Miharu's sister's Digimon, because obviously she was a researcher, and when she found out that, hey, Digimon, they're really cool, they're awesome, they can go into these places, she tried to tell her boss, because I think she worked at the World Union. They basically took Wizardmon and basically gaslit her into thinking she was crazy, which resulted, unfortunately, in her downing some pills, and at least that's what we assume, because they didn't show her chugging pills, because I don't think you can show that on TV. Miharu's sister unfortunately did die, which is the worst possible time because Miharu just found Wizardmon again and brought them to her sister, and, she was dead. And the resulting negative outlet basically caused Wizardmon to digivolve into Mephistomon. Then we go to the next episode, which is like the big climax. They're in this giant cube. It's like a few episodes after the stream, and guess who appears? Yes, Hitomi! This is why I love Hitomi, because you could use it as like a normal ground level point of view, because she's not involved in any of this shit. We get the big final battle. Again, Miharu is basically trying to convince Tomoro to just let her do what she's doing, and he's like, no, I can't really let you, right? They fight, and we find out that Miharu has been doing this because she wants to achieve her sister's dream. Tomoro rebuttals by saying, is this really what your sister wanted? Like, because at this point, she basically turned off the life support in the Shangri-La eggs, and Tomoro's like, does your sister want this? Murder? And she's like, I don't know. And then she asks Mephistomon, and Mephistomon's like, hey, I'm not really doing what your sister wants. I'm doing what you want, right? So, just relax. And that kind of makes her go a little crazy. And Mephistomon absorbs Miharu. And again, at this point, I was like, oh, are we going to get a Mega? I said, I wonder what the Mega would be. Would it be Grand Dracmon? I thought it might be Grand Dracmon because I feel like that's a natural step. I wouldn't know who would make a good mega for Mephistomon, Belphemon, because it's just one furry goat animal to another furry goat animal. Even though Belphemon has like the sleep mode, but whatever. Yeah, I don't think they would want to add a demon lord into it because that'd make things confusing. I'm not even gonna entertain this anymore. She doesn't turn into a mega. She kind of just gets bigger. She does become stronger, right? Tomoro does his weird enter the mindscape thing with her again, and they kind of come to resolution. They destroy Mephistomon. They kind of have to haul her off to jail. So at the end of the day, Miharu gets imprisoned. They kind of have to. She's like a full-on terrorist. Like, not even like, they can't even like explain this away, right? Like, she's straight up committed terroristic acts. She kidnapped people, right? That's not a good thing. That was a very rough overview of the gift arc. What do I think? I think the gift arc is very good. I do think they could have planted the seeds a little better, like I'm saying, where Reina's whole being a little insecure about her strength could have started in Vamdemon, whatever, in Myotismon, the Myotismon episode. So it would kind of be like a through line, especially since after that episode we get the Scourge Corruptmon episode, which is a little, you know. I also don't like how fast they revealed that Miharu was the leader. They revealed it like a few episodes before the cast realized it. I feel like they could have done a little more with the fake outs. You know, it's how it goes. Also, Rose. I think Rose is in like 4 episodes and she doesn't really do much. And same thing with her lackeys. Like, I don't think they won a single fight in the episodes they were in. I don't think so. So before we had the jobber tier list, those two, very top. They're at the top. I don't think I'm pretty sure they never won a battle. They didn't win anything. It's really funny. And they're supposed to be elites, but they do get some points for being lesbian. I do like that in this episode, we got the first interaction technically between Chairman Wong and Tomoro. And it wasn't even an interaction. It's just that Tomoro's light kind of shined and Chairman Wong was like, that power. Even though in the next episode, we find out that's not what he was talking about. Overall, I do think there's problems in it, right? I feel like, obviously, pacing. I feel like if it had a little bit longer to build the suspense, Gift felt a little bit more present. Because a lot of the Gift tie-ins kind of felt more like they made an episode and they're like, well, we have to tie this into Gift. So they just made it about Gift like a little bit, you know? Where it's like, oh, well, this whole thing happened because of Gift, right? And like, I don't really understand where the idea that Digimon are like superior came from. I know it's not really in it, but it's like they're trying to rewrite the code of reality to make everything fit right and to make this world that kind of Tomoro was also wanting to do, right? But it didn't feel like it came from anywhere, right? Because we find out that Miharu's like, she wants them to live perfectly in tandem, but a lot of the Gift members view Digimon as like, they have the suffix sama, at least in Japanese, which basically means lord, right? They're above us, which I don't really know where that comes from. I feel like if they dived a little bit into the cult a little more, I would have been more okay, just so we can get like a little bit of details about how it actually works. I think that would be cool. Like, maybe, I don't know what episode they would do it in. I like the tactics episode, but I feel like that's kind of out of place. I know it's to keep up with what are they doing now, but I don't think it has anything to do with Gift, truthfully. I think that was the one episode that didn't have anything to do with. But if in one episode they actually like get into a Gift meeting, I know it's mainly online, or at least get a Sapotama that has the Gift stuff, they would be able to like keep track of stuff so that they know a little bit of how like the indoctrination works, why these people are doing it. It's that, like, the Gift cult stuff is a little weird for me, but you know, that's how the cookie crumbles. One very interesting thing I want to talk about is the thing I talked about in my first Beatbreak video, which was, I think Tomoro is going to get absorbed into Geckomon in order to become a Mega. And there's this idea repeated 3 times in the series so far, with Clay, with the girl in the episode One Step Forward, and with Miharu, where the Digimon partner, or the Digimon, takes in their tamer to attain a higher state of power. With Clay, we actually got a Mega, but we needed a lot of power, right? And with Argomon and Mephistomon, we got to a higher strength, higher tier of ultimate, right? So my idea, again, it's also this disconnect in what they want. Argomon wanted to make the little girl's dream of them being together forever and having their own little world come true. And obviously the little girl just wanted to be with Argomon. That's not the same idea. It's close. So they had like a little bit of an easier time. Mephistomon and Miharu had very different ideas. Obviously Miharu kind of just submitted. He's like, you know what? You're fine. Take me, right? Take me and do whatever. Whoa. That was bad. You know what I mean, right? Obviously she attained a lot more power again. Again, it's this desync of what the Digimon wants and what the tamer wants. And I fully believe that once the Tamer and the Digimon have the exact same goal, their beats match, they will be able to attain Mega. Now talking about Mega, I don't know if a Trachusmon or however the hell this man's name is, the spoiled Mega for Geckomon is actually gonna be his final Mega. I don't know when they're gonna do this, because obviously I don't know how many episodes we have left. I think they said like 40. I think they said 50, but that's actually wrong. They're gonna go a little higher. I still don't think it's gonna be the final. I fully believe, and especially with more of the recent episodes, we see more of Geckomon using swords or using blades a lot easier. Like I think in the most recent episode where he's cutting up cake pieces, I didn't talk about this in my review, he does like a full moon slash thing. He trains with blades outside of his forms, right? So having his final form be like this shrouded like creature with like a drum or like a hammer as a weapon, in my opinion, doesn't really fit. Especially since this thing, I'm not even gonna try the name. This thing has a Latin name. When so far Geckomon is a very Japanese name, and I feel like, especially this entire season, feels very obviously Japanese coded with, or at least Eastern coded. So I feel like having the ultimate be this feels wrong, or at least the Mega. Having the Mega be this feels wrong. I feel like we need Tsukuyomi-mon, a Mega that's more fitting with what Beatbreak is implying, in my opinion. It's very much, and especially it kind of goes with Habakirimon, who is also a very Eastern-based thing. So just having Tsukuyomi-mon be the Mega, I think it would fit really well. But what do you guys think? Do you guys like the gift arc? What are your opinions on it? What do you guys think could be improved? What do you think they did well? What do you think they didn't do not so well? What do you hope for in the future? What are some of your theories? I really want to know, because I really love talking about this stuff. I love Digimon, I love Beatbreak. But anyway, generic YouTuber stuff. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'd like to bid you all a farewell.